Welcome to Learn Short and Typing with Vikas sir. प्रोग्रेसिव मैगजीन जनवरी 2018। 2-3 दिन से हमारी क्लास नहीं हो पाई थी। फ्राइडे सैटरडे और संडे को आपका ऑफ ही होता है। हम कहीं पे कुछ वर्क था। अब जो आपकी क्लास होगी रेगुलर क्लास होगी, इसलिए आप इसको हमारी डिक्टेशन को ध्यान से सुने और इसको आप लिखें और इसको टाइप ज़रूर कीजिए। सो बी रेडी। 100 वर्ड पर मिनट की स्पीड होगी आपकी। एक्सरसाइज नंबर 23 हमारी हो चुकी थी लास्ट टाइम। अब 24 एक्सरसाइज होगी आपकी। स्टार्ट। सर, वी वुड लाइक यू टू शेयर विद अस द रोल विच यू envisage for elected local bodies in the planning process. At present, there exist many different agencies outside the framework of democratically elected local bodies to whom is entrusted most of the major tasks of urban planning. These include city development authorities and city improvement trusts, besides a number of state government agencies owing responsibilities to the state government above, but not to the people below. If planning for economic development and social justice is to become the centerpiece of the activities of democratic local bodies, should all these other agencies be dissolved or merged into the elected local bodies, or should they be kept separate and above the system as at present? Question mark. The answer you give should be compatible with our basic principle of maximum devolution. The second point relating to planning is the methodology for coordinating urban planning with rural planning. While it would of course be appropriate for urban and rural bodies respectively to plan matters which fall exclusively within the irrespective jurisdiction, it has to be recognized that growth impulses largely come from the interaction between urban groups and their rural areas. It is because the linkages between town and country are so crucial to growth that many state governments have established bodies like the District Planning Board or the District Planning and Development Council to identify and strengthen these linkages. The tragedy is that in the name of coordination, District Planning Board have been established outside the framework of democratically elected local bodies and generally placed under the charge of a ministry appointed by the state government. Thus, the most crucial planning functions and much of the effective decision-making power, as also the allocation of the bulk of finances, has been vested in bodies which are outside the democratic framework of local government and are dominated by ministers appointed by the state government. I call it a tragedy because it is through these agencies that the elected authority is bypassed or overruled. Stop. In the name of coordination, democracy is being sabotaged. In the name of coordination, the will of elected local bodies is being subordinated to the will of the state government. In the name of coordination, the people's will is being replaced by the will of officiation. What measure would you suggest to establish a democratic district planning bodies? Question mark. The second major act of devolution envisaged in the Panchayati Raj Bill is the implementation of development schemes relating to the subjects set out in the proposed 11th schedule. Next para. We would wish you to pull your experience of the different states of India and suggest the subjects which might be set out in a separate schedule in respect of which constitutional authority would be available for the meaningful devolution of powers to urban panchayats. The financial condition of municipal bodies at all level is pitiable. They barely have the funds to sustain themselves. They are unable to even maintain community assets and services, let alone create new ones. Debt and default are widespread. There is fiscal irresponsibility allied to financial indiscipline. The sound finances of urban institutions of local self-government is a matter of crucial importance. Much of the wealth of India is generated in urban India. Its rates of growth are significantly higher than in rural India. The assets which municipal bodies sit on, namely urban land, is a very valuable commodity whose values goes on increasing rapidly. We would like you to examine in depth all questions relating to the financial health or urban bodies. You have numerous reports on the subject prepared by committees established by both the central and state governments. You have in the Panchayati Raj Bill the proposal for the establishment of a state finance commission to set out principles on the basis of which taxes may be assigned to or appropriated by Panchayati Raj institutions at different levels. Then there are the grants in aid from the consolidated fund of the state and funds from century sponsored schemes. As such, should the proposed state finance commission also set out similar principles for financial devolution to urban local bodies? Should there be centrally sponsored schemes for the urban areas? There is also the question of access of municipal bodies to institutional finance and the capital market. We would like your consideration of these financial questions to be guided by the sentiments expressed by Jawaharlal Nehru when he presented his first report as chairman of the Allahabad municipality 66 years ago. Finally, we would like you to consider issues that are vital for efficient municipal administration but are not perhaps amenable to settlement through a constitutional provision. For example, what should be the relationship between the municipal bureaucracy and the elected municipal representatives? How does one ensure harmony and cooperative relations between the municipal bureaucracy and the democratically elected representatives of municipal bodies? Should not urban administration be carried out at the behest of the elected representatives rather than by bureaucratic order, however benevolent and well intentioned? Full stop.